All right, we're here. Hello, everyone. How are we all doing today? I hope you are doing well. Now, this past month of January has been completely exceeding my expectations when it's come to film. We've gotten Madrigan, we've gotten Missing, we've gotten Infinity Pool, all films, I haven't talked about Missing, but films that I've talked about on this channel that I have enjoyed a lot and are also way better than the caliber of films we usually get in that month. February, could this momentum be brought over into the next month? The answer is unequivocally, absolutely yes. Because guess what? We are getting the new M. Night Shyamalan film, Knock at the Cabin, which is what this video is about. Now, did I just maybe perhaps spoil a little bit about how I feel about this film? Yes, but let's talk about Shyamalan as an entity himself right now for a little bit. Am I a fan of Shyamalan's films? Not really. Split is cool. Glass is awful. Old is bad, but also kind of funny bad. But this one specifically, Knock at the Cabin, I was kind of excited for. I read what the book was about, and I read kind of like a summation of the book, and I was like, this is interesting. Not really as twist-driven story as we're used to seeing from Shyamalan, so I'm interested to see where this goes. And I went to see it because I will always go see a Shyamalan property solely based off of the fact that it's going to be something A, original, and it's going to be something B, somewhat weird, kinda. Also, keep in mind when it comes to the Shyamalan filmography, haven't seen The Sixth Sense, so I don't know his classic film. I'm saving that for a Quest for Classics, but went to see Knock at the Cabin as a second film of a double feature, which already was putting it at a disadvantage because before that I went to see 80 for Brady, which I will be talking about in my next video. But you get a little tired after a first film, even if it's only like 90 minutes. But wowie zowie, I really enjoyed Knock at the Cabin, and let's talk about why. And this is where the Shyamalan effect comes into things, and that is because this film specifically is the least Shyamalan film that I've seen Shyamalan make, and that is for the reason that A, it is based off of a pre-existing property, a novel of sorts, so you have that going into it, so Shyamalan can't be as twisty as he usually is with his original properties. And B, this is a film specifically designed to not be a auteur type film. It is solely revolving around a couple of things, and the first of those things being what I liked best about the film, their performances. And all of the performances are really good, and we'll get to them, but there is one performance in particular that I would like to praise, and that's actually, surprisingly, Dave Bautista. Let's take a sec to get into Dave Bautista, history-wise. I have never really been a huge fan of Dave Bautista. I don't think he's really that great as Drax in the Guardians series. Could that quite possibly be just because I do not like James Gunn's character writing, and Drax's whole thing is I am weird big guy who kind of says things that people are thinking but is too inappropriate to say out loud, and also misinterprets things, and that's like the comedy of my character. Yeah, it could be that, but also I've seen films like Stuber, and I didn't like him in that, and I've seen things like My Spy, and I was like, okay, he's gonna try and be this like kind of rom-com calm guy. He's big, they can play off of that kind of rockish but less action-oriented. Fine, cool, I guess there's a niche for that. Knock at the Cabin sees Dave Bautista give a performance that will break him out of that mold 1,000,000%. He is the best thing here. He plays such a nuanced perspective on community and relating to people and trying to navigate. He is the spearhead of this situation, and he's constantly trying to find a way to navigate it, but relay the immediacy of the situation, but also make the people comfortable. He does that the best out of everyone in this film, and he blows me away at every single moment that he's on screen, especially his final scene in the film also blew my mind. he is so good. The rest of his group, which consists of Nikki Amuka Bird, Abby Quinn, and Rupert Grint, are all very good. Specifically, I lean towards Nikki Amuka Bird's performance as someone who is a nurse and a healer, and that is her primary way of life, and that's what she's known for the past half a decade. And she has to be put in this situation where she is trying to nurture a healthy environment but simultaneously destroy it in a way. She is really, really good. And then Rupert Grint and Abby Quinn are also good in their respective roles. But the Dave Bautista mainly, and then also Nikki Amuka Bird, does warrant a couple of words said about her as well. The trio who are at the center of the story, played by Jonathan Groff, Kristen Cui, and Ben Aldridge respectively, also do pretty well. Specifically within that trio, Jonathan Groff is someone who I've always respected as an actor in the things that I've seen him in, but I've never really seen him in something as serious as this for me to really dive in and be like, wow, he is really good. I specifically mostly seen him in performances that revolve around music, but it is nice to see him take on a really solid dramatic role here. But the star to me is Ben Aldridge. Ben Aldridge is, out of the three of them, of course, is really good. The skeptic, the rationale, the mainstay, keeping your head about you type of role. What does that lead to when things start to become, there's absolutely no way that you can possibly rationalize the situation? He does a really good job at having his character face that, and portrays it very well once again. So acting all over the board, all 7 of the performances are good. Specifically, Dave Bautista knocks it out of the park. Now, that is basically what the movie is. It is a performance by this ensemble in a contained space. So in order for the film to be competent, that's actually all you need is good performances, because that is basically the sole thing that the film relies on. The other thing that the film relies on is the actual premise of the film, the story itself. And by God, the best thing about this film is the fact that it is short. It clocks in at about 100 minutes, and that is awesome. It is so succinct. With a premise like this, it would be very easy to either drag it out or come to a conclusion too soon. But they hit the sweet spot with the pacing. Everything is paced out very, very well. And the story and the conundrum is one kind of as old as time, very classic type of moral dilemma to see go on screen in this very unique circumstance. I am a fan of the story. I will say that I do think that the story is a little bit neutered, and that kind of works to its detriment a little bit. No, undoubtedly that is because of Shyamalan, and this leads into what I want to talk about the film. And that is that, hey, everything about this film that is good is in spite of Shyamalan. Sure, you could argue that the performances, Shyamalan directed those performances. I would argue that it's just the actors acting. When it comes to the directing side of things, Shyamalan adds absolutely nothing to the film. There is nothing here that has any sort of visual style, any sort of filmmaking style. There are a couple of cool shots, but you can thank that to the cinematographer of the film, who has done 3 of the best shot films in the past decade in the Eggers films, with The Witch, The Northman, and The Lighthouse, all fantastically shot films. Jaron Blaschke, and by God, you wouldn't even know this was him. He is so neutered. The grandiose presence of Blaschke's cinematography does not work at all here, and I feel like it could have. I feel like he is a talented enough cinematographer to package that up and make it work in a more contained atmosphere, because he did it with The Lighthouse, you know what I mean? But no. You can tell this is a very behind the camera Shyamalan film, and that is the detriment of the film. There's no panache, there's no je ne sais quoi, there's nothing to really latch onto here from a filmmaking perspective. It is the performances are really good, it is technically fine. it is technically fine. Also, we'll say the dialogue towards the end of the film is a little bit over the head, not great, right? Not super awesome. He throughout the first 3/4, Shyamalan actually does a solid-ish job at alluding to certain things, but not directly commenting on them. And then in the last quarter, he completely gives up on that and just word vomits through his characters all of the messages that are being meant to be absorbed from the film. And that is the worst part about Shyamalan. The end of Old is one of the funniest scenes ever, because you gather all of these ideas from the island, and then Shyamalan's like, hey, here's everything. Here's all of it. And that's it. So again, everything about the film that is working against it is solely Shyamalan, and everything that is working for the film is solely not Shyamalan. So in an ironic twist of fate, no pun intended, the best Shyamalan film in the past decade to me is a film that is the least Shyamalan film that he's ever made. Hilarious, I know. But ultimately, I did have a good time with it, and someone had to make the film, and Shyamalan made the film, and I can't really get mad at him for doing a solid job, but he does hold this back from being a great film to me. Ultimately, at the end of the day, I'm going to give Knock at the Cabin a 7 out of 10. A wonderful time, wholehearted recommend, go see it in theaters. It's a very tense experience, it's paced very well, and you will leave with a smile on your face probably, or a question to discuss on the way home in the car with the people that you went to see the movie with, or in your own head if you went to see it alone. What a time. That was really good. Go see it. So that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Next up will be an 80 for Brady video. This Everything Everywhere All at Once video is the biggest hassle that I've ever gone through in my history of uploading YouTube